Donald Trump today just called the Jeffrey Epstein scandal a Democratic hoax and said the only reason people are pushing for the files to be released is they're all Democratic activists who are part of a hoax, which led some of the Epstein victims who are on Capitol Hill today visiting Congress. One woman came out and said, "I was abused. It's not a hoax." This is getting fascinating, guys. Why is Donald Trump so dead set about releasing the files? He promised to do it. Here's the thing I don't get. Obviously, he's acting guilty. But he promised during the campaign to release them. They were going to release them up until a couple months ago. Like, how did he not know what was in those files? He knows what he did or didn't do, right? This should not be a surprise. My guess is they found something in those files is what he's acting like. And he thought it wouldn't be in those files. That's the only thing I can think of, because this makes no sense why he would have been so pro-releasing the files and now is just, again, Democratic hoax? Yeah, all you guys who voted for Trump, you're part of a Democratic conspiracy hoax. Congratulations.
He called it a hoax. I'd say the caucasity of that man, but I'm not even sure that Tangerine Tyrant qualifies as one anymore. We do not claim him. After the survivor spoke on Capitol Hill, he called it a hoax. Typical, let's be real. And then the White House goes on to say, wait, there's more. If any Republican votes on that bill to release the rest of the JE files, because they've just re-released a bunch of already available information, they're going to be committing a hostile act against the government. What in the Pyongyang is happening here? Seriously, what in the Pyongyang is going on? Because that language is not generally found in Western democracies of any flavor, and I know y'all like to get real picky about that in my comment section, so go ahead, have fun, argue over it, go for it. But as a survivor myself, the fact that these women got up there on Capitol Hill, told their stories, put their names and their faces out there, putting themselves up for scrutiny, hell, putting themselves at actual real risk to their safety is commendable. And then to have the tangerine turd say it's a hoax, if not guilty, then why guilty shaped?
Yesterday, several women went before the cameras stating that they were not only victims of the late Jeffrey Epstein, but of also his associates and many of his close friends, also naming former President Bill Clinton and current President Donald Trump during the press conference. President Trump later the same day was asked about this, and he followed up by saying the whole thing is nothing more than a Democratic hoax. So the question is, do you believe President Trump is correct that all of these women are lying and making this up, and by way of the Democratic Party, it is nothing more than a hoax? What say you?
But it's really a Democrat hoax, because they're trying to get people to talk about something that's totally irrelevant to the success that we've had as a nation since I've been president.
I voted for him. I voted for Trump. And for him to say what he's saying is beyond me, because I put my hope in him and he's supposed to protect us. And for him to say that this is a joke and that it's sides, this is not sides. We will say it time and time again. None of us are up there accusing him of anything. There is no one that is accusing him of any wrongdoing. So for the fact that he is saying those things and saying it's a hoax, who are you hiding for then? Because if it's not you, then who is it? And that scares me. Who is it?
This needs to be stated. Some of the women that spoke out today, the victims of the Island Man, are registered Republicans. They picked DJT in 2024 and possibly in 2020 and 2016. And that man, the orange dementia patient, is calling this whole thing a Democratic hoax. What does that say about how he feels about the victims? What does that say about how he feels about his base? What does that say about him? These are all rhetorical questions, by the way. We all know the answer to them. I'm just wondering, how long are we going to play this game? How long before we decide enough is enough? Do with that what you will. You're not crazy.
If the Epstein files are a fucking hoax, then release them! They're clearly not a fucking hoax because you're scared to release them, you fucking weirdo! We know what the fuck you did! You're a weirdo! We know what you do! And if you continue to support this man, you might as well be on the list too, because we know what you like to do on your fucking free time. We know you're in the list! We know you're there already! You made yourself so fucking guilty because you don't want to release it!
Just minutes after these women talked about what disgusting things Jeffrey Epstein and his rich friends did to them, Donald Trump comes out and calls it a Democratic hoax. A hoax, Donald? Really? Then why did you campaign on it? Why did you promise that you're going to release the files, release the client list? It's because you know that when the truth comes out, your name is on it. We all know it. We all know that Bill Clinton's name's on it. And I will stop being a Democrat if that man ever speaks at the DNC again. He should never be associated with the Democratic Party. He should be locked up in jail. See how easy that is, MAGA? Like, these are underage girls that were treated terribly by the richest, most powerful politicians, celebrities out there. Anyone and everyone on that list. Doesn't matter if they're a Democrat, Republican, Independent, my favorite celebrities, whatever. If they did disgusting things to these girls, they should be locked up in prison. I don't understand how there's so many supporters of Donald Trump that don't believe he's on that list. Look at the fucking dude. Look at the pictures from back then. He is a disgusting man, and y'all are disgusting for still supporting him.
So check this out. Marjorie Taylor Greene just completely exposed Donald Trump's Epstein cover-up, and she called him out for calling it a hoax. That's really a sentence I never thought I'd ever say about Marjorie Taylor Greene, but in a new interview today, she said she got a lot of pushback and phone call after phone call from the White House last night trying to discourage her from signing on to the Epstein discharge petition to try to get the files released. She also ripped into the White House for calling the petition a hostile act toward them, calling the official who said it a coward. So just think about what Marjorie Taylor Greene just said right there. The White House is calling members, begging them to not release these files. They're saying it'd be considered a hostile act to the White House. They are actively covering up and protecting one of the worst criminals in modern American history. And here's more. She accused them of hating Representative Thomas Massie, a Republican who helped set up the press conference, more than any Democrat, and said they don't want to work with Democrats at all. She also told Trump to invite the Epstein survivors to the Oval Office so he can be a champion for them on this issue. Does she not know that Donald Trump has been slamming these people? Covering up for Epstein, was Epstein's best friend. I mean, give me a break. He's never going to be a champion on this issue. She also said she disagrees with Trump calling it a hoax. But she just confirmed live on air that the White House is actively trying to get Republicans to not release the files. I mean, that is damning.
Trump calls those files irrelevant as survivors demand full release. The Trump downplayed the growing push to release all of those files, you know which ones I'm talking about, calling it a Democrat hoax and irrelevant to his presidency's successes. He said he believed that thousands of documents had already been released, though survivors and lawmakers disagreed. One survivor, Haley Robson, she's a Republican, she said it felt like being gutted from the inside out, and she invited the Trump to meet with victims to understand the trauma, that it's real and not political. He ain't gonna do that. Now, Representative Thomas Massie, Republican from Kentucky, and Representative Ro Khanna, a Democrat from California, are leading a discharge petition to force a House vote compelling the Justice Department to release all files. The petition had 206 signatures as of Wednesday, and it needs 218 to succeed. 4 Republicans, Massie, Nancy Mace, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Lauren Boebert, have signed on. If all Democrats join, only 2 more GOP signatures are required. Speaker Mike Johnson opposed the petition, calling it irrelevant and unnecessary. Instead, he's backing an oversight committee investigation that he says will be broader and enforceable through subpoena power. Where did he get that irrelevant language from? Johnson also claimed that survivors are being misled by Republicans politicizing the issue. Johnson also said he spoke to the Trump about those files on Tuesday night, and that the Trump instructed him to get it out there and put it all out there. The hell he did. Now, the House narrowly passed a resolution, 212 to 208 to 1, directing the Oversight Committee to continue its investigation into those documents. The Oversight Committee released tens of thousands of pages on Tuesday night, though most were already public. Survivors and Kana argue that less than 1% of those files have been made available, and they are demanding full transparency. What do you all think? Are we ever going to get full transparency on those files? Now, for those that don't know, I have to call it those files because I can't say what they are because I have a community strike against me on a prior video I did on those documents. So that's why I call them those files or those documents. Now for my reminders. 1. Keep demanding release of those documents. It's not a Democrat hoax, and we need to know. We are entitled to know. That's my opinion. What's your opinion on that? 2, blackout the system. That will be September 16th through the 20th, 2025. If you want more information on that, please go to their website, blackoutthesystem.com. And 3, keep your eyes on the prize. The prize is the White House and democracy in America. Do not get distracted by the foolishness, mayhem, debauchery, and lies coming out of the 47th administration. Now, if you like this video or if you learned anything, please hit that follow button as that helps me out immensely. And just a FYI, I'm not sure how this TikTok is going to play out once it becomes M or whatever the hell it's going to become. So please, if you want to continue watching my videos, you can go over to YouTube. I have the same channel name, Buffy's Flavorful Journey, and I post the same videos there. So eventually, if this TikTok becomes, how shall I put it, frozen, I'll just use this as a TikTok shop video channel or whatever you want to call it, account, and I'll post the videos on YouTube. So you might as well go on over there and sign up now, and it's appreciated as a subscriber so you can stay in the know. And as always, thank you for watching and have a great day.
The Justice Department protecting any friends or donors, sir? So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends. You know, it reminds me a little of the Kennedy situation. We gave him everything over and over again, more and more and more, and nobody's ever satisfied.
We're not satisfied because all of the Kennedy documents haven't been released. Just another lie from Donald J. Trump. Let's release the Kennedy files first then, and then we'll release the Epstein files, and then we'll see where we get to.
I am so proud of all of the women who testified about Jeffrey Epstein yesterday. The fact that Trump's response was to say that this is still a hoax really invalidates what those women were saying, what thousands of women have said, and implies that they are not telling the truth. And then for him to go a step further and say, instead of focusing on that, we should be talking about him and what a great job he is doing as president. Narcissist much? We are at a point where even Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying, release these files, this is not okay. It seems like the only one who is really pushing back is Donald Trump. We don't even need the Epstein files to come out to know that Donald Trump is involved with this. He is already an adjudicated rapist. We know that he had a relationship with Epstein. Like, he's the only one who doesn't want this out, and there's a clear reason for that, because he's involved. I just want the women who testified yesterday to know that we are proud of them and we will keep fighting for them to get justice. We will keep requesting these files and not give up. And in doing that, we're not just supporting them and the thousands of other people who have made accusations against Epstein. This is for everyone who has ever experienced SA.
On this against Trump, as we speak, rallying Republicans to break with Trump and support Massey's movement to force a vote that would allow for releasing every single Epstein document that exists.
I care most about the policy here, not the politics of it. But politically, it's really bad for Republicans. They should just have this vote and put it behind them. 80% of Republicans, it's not just independents and Democrats who want these files released. 80% of Republicans support releasing these files. So they're at odds with our base right now, and particularly the MAGA base.
Well, Massey's being practical, but he's also right there that this shouldn't be political. There's a right and a wrong. And exposing people who assault and rape children is the right side of the issue. If Massey can get 2 more Republicans to join him, he can force the vote on his bill. It is a vote that Trump right now is scrambling to kill. The White House today actually calling Massey's measure, quote, a very...
Cankles McYam tits. If it's a hoax and the files aren't real, how would it be a hostile move towards your administration if they were released? Like, do you not see that you're confessing? That's what you're doing if you're saying that it will be hostile towards your administration if the Epstein files are released. All that says is that you, and probably a lot of your cabinet, are on the files. You got people like Bondi who covered up for him. You got Alex Acosta who gave him a sweetheart plea deal with immunity as he was raping children. He died under your watch. He was tried under your watch, but it's somehow a hoax. Then why was he in jail? Why is Maxwell in jail if it's all a hoax?
Trump once again called the Epstein situation a hoax today, but this time he said it literally at the same time when 10 Epstein victims were telling their stories and pleading with the government to do more right outside of our Capitol. Are their experiences a hoax? Is that what the president wants to say? Look, I agree with you that his messaging has been off on this, but you have to understand something. It's more than just his messaging. It's the fact that he campaigned on releasing the files, and then when his FBI was reviewing the files, we learned that they were told to flag Trump's name, and then late on a Sunday night, they announced, oh, nothing else will come from this, move on, and we won't release anything new in order to protect the victims. And then we learned they didn't speak to any of the victims while making this decision, and that actually the victims want the accountability that would come from the transparency. Okay, can I get a word in? No, and the other thing, well, I'm gonna get a word in. The president is not calling what Epstein did a hoax. He is calling the media firestorm surrounding Epstein a hoax, especially from the Democrats who sat on the Epstein files for 4 years under Biden and not one squeak from any of them to release anything. And now it's their biggest issue because Trump is in charge and it makes them look bad. It's just that Biden never associated with Epstein and it was never something he promised to release. This is something Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, J.D. Vance, and Trump himself all said during the campaign they would do. And now that they're there and learn Trump is in the files, now they all reverse their position. It reeks of a cover-up. Do you realize the bipartisan House Oversight Committee led by Republicans just subpoenaed all the files from the DOJ and they intend on releasing them all? Yeah, but that'll just take way too long, and it's in the DOJ's power to decide redactions before it's sent over to the committee, which is why the Massey kind of option to pass a bill forcing the DOJ to release all the files is the better way. Oh wait, Republican leadership is against it, probably because the president is calling any effort a hoax. You can understand his frustration. He's trying to renegotiate global trade and set the American worker up for decades. He's trying to run the biggest mass deportation effort ever, solve the housing crisis, get inflation down, end wars around the globe, all this stuff. Yet all the media talks about is something they were silent about for the last 4 years. Yeah, because the story goes to the core of the trust people have in their government. And I'm sorry, if you erode the trust, you have nothing. We don't like being lied to, and we're not going to witness a cover-up in real time. This would all be so easy if he would just release the files. But wait, something's holding him back, and I think we all know what. Trump was literally charged with 88 felony counts over the past couple of years. If they had something on this, trust me, they would have went after him. Plus, none of the victims have ever even accused Trump of wrongdoing with a minor. So would you just cut it with that? No, I won't. None of us will just cut it until the files are released, bud.
Sorry, did he really just... We are real human beings. This is real trauma.
So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends. From what I understand, I could check, but from what I understand, thousands of pages of documents have been given. But it's really a Democrat hoax because they're trying to get people to talk about something that's totally irrelevant to the success that we've had as a nation since I've been president.
I do not understand how people can still support this person. Like, I do understand, because there are people who really believe every single thing that he says. And this is why I've been talking about people who believe everything they're told without questioning and using their own brain to connect the dots